Comedy and tapping into being able to make other people laugh, making myself laugh as a kid, was kind of like a stopgap measure for venting that pain. Because you really can't run away. When you're little, you have no one to go to.
Welcome to Mindset Lessons from the Field. I'm Gina Kazazza, the author of Training with the SEAL. I say Training with the SEAL now because I have been posting chapters up on Substack. So if you guys are on the Substack, you could start reading the Training with the SEAL chapters that I have been posting. Today's guest, I'm really excited to introduce and speak to. He is a former Green Beret with nearly 2 decades of service, a senior operations leader turned mental health advocate, and now a powerhouse behind Security Halt, a top-ranked podcast serving veterans, first responders, and anyone struggling with invisible wounds. He's produced shows that tackle streaming media, traumatic brain injuries, resilience after trauma, and even military comedy. And at the center of it all, his mission to turn pain into purpose and wounds into wisdom. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really excited to introduce this guest, Deny Caballero. Deny, how'd I do with the name?
You crushed it.
Amazing. That is a fun last name, though. That's a really good one. I really like it a lot. Yeah. What is that? Origin?
It's Spanish.
It is Spanish. Okay. Yep. I love it. It's great. Fun to say.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on the show. I really appreciate it. I'm really excited because, with your mission, it was interesting because, I was reading about you and doing some research, turning pain into purpose is interesting because I used to be a stand-up comic and people used to be like,
oh, no way.
Yeah. And people would always be like, what was your childhood like, because apparently comedians have traumatic childhoods, right? And I was like, it was an amazing childhood. I don't know what you're talking about. And it's just funny though, because, I do laugh and bring dark humor into things, but I think you need to laugh throughout life, right? And yesterday, I run a nonprofit. Yesterday we had an event and talk about overwhelming, and I just couldn't stop laughing. And everyone's like, why are you laughing? And I'm like, because otherwise you just cry. It's just like, which way are you going to go, right? And I want to know, how did you go into the mindset of turning pain into purpose, and what is it behind that? What was the pain that you decided, because you're going the mental health advocate route. So did you have mental health that you were tackling? Tell us. Let's start there.
Yeah. So my journey goes with comedy. Let's tap into that. I grew up really abused. If you know the ACEs study, childhood adversity, scale, 10 things, the more of those you have, the more likely you'll be to, experience things like homelessness, poverty, drug addiction, in and out of jail. My index score is almost through the roof, almost meet all the criteria. I'm originally from Panama, and I was brought here through a marriage. And unfortunately, the individual married my biological mother was seeking children to abuse and molest. He saw myself and my sister first, then approached our mother, and basically was able to get the 3 of us to the States so that he could have his victims at home. So there was a lot of abuse in the home. As I got older, comedy and tapping into being able to make other people laugh, making myself laugh as a kid, was kind of like a stopgap measure for venting that pain. Because you really can't run away. When you're little, you have no one to go to. But I could always make people laugh. And if I can make fun of my situation, the dark humor, you're a kid making light of the stressors at home. So humor was always something I had. I always found a way to tamp down the pain and everything I was going through. And they just always reverted to that. Even in the military, when you're going through something really difficult, when somebody can get you to laugh through it, it makes the world easier to bear. It makes anything that you're going through easier to bear. And I always found that as a strength. As a leader, if I could get my guys to laugh through something difficult, I could get everybody on board and move forward. And I used that throughout my entire career. If I could just get dudes to laugh and realize hey, we can make it through the situation. If we can just laugh and de-escalate the situation, we can make it through it. So comedy has always been a part of my life. And unfortunately, when I did stumble and I did fall down and I did, this was later on in my career when everything finally came to a grinding halt, I couldn't find that humor at first. I couldn't. I needed to go get help. And through the interventions to go into a mental health treatment center, to finally being able to go to a polytrauma treatment center to get everything treated, then I was able to find a little bit more of my humor and find myself again. And then I finally was able to really tap back into that humor and be like, okay, this sucks. Like I'm at a place where they won't allow me to have my shoes. I can't have my shoelaces, but fuck, all right. Like I'm still alive. I didn't carry out go through with the idea of ending my life. So at least I have that. So humor's always been with me.
So many questions I have. I don't know where to start, but let's just go with, I'm curious in terms of when did you decide that you wanted to go into the military?
Yeah. So at early age, I didn't grow up. And then, like I said, a normal way. I was always meant to believe that I didn't have any value or worth. 17, right before I turned 18, I was like, you know what? Like, if I stay here, I'm going to die. I knew that the abuse was ramping up to that point. The ultimate, like everything else I had endured and I survived. And it got to the point where I could tell that the physical abuse was getting higher. It was escalating to a point where I knew that the next thing was, I'm not going to survive this. I ran away. As a kid in high school, I knew that like I need to make ends meet. So I'm living at a place where I'm having to pay rent. I'm still going to high school, and I discovered in the National Guard, you could get paid for drill weekend. So I was like, it's a no-brainer. I'll join the Guard. And that's when I first started really understanding like my calling to service. Graduate high school, and really and truly the only thing in my life where I was really excelling and really having anything to prove was when I was wearing the uniform. And that's when I realized, okay, this is more than 1 weekend a month. I can't live my life trying to make ends meet, trying to be a college student, trying to do everything and never succeeding at anything at all. I was divided in so many different ways. I wanted to have the idyllic college experience that my more affluent peers were able to have because they had family, they had support section or support network, but I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that even with the Guard assisting with tuition assistance. And you still had to pay out of pocket. You still had to put food on the table, even for myself. I realized that if I couldn't live this life and being dissected in so many different ways, I needed to focus on what was really, truly making me happy. And when I wore the uniform, when I was living my life as an actual service member, I at least felt a purpose. And that's ultimately when I decided just go active duty. That was the best decision I could have made as a young man. And that's why I tell people, like, if you find not to knock the National Guard, not to knock reserves, but if you're a young man and you don't have backing from a family, you don't have a support network, if you're on your own and you have a calling to do something greater, go active duty. Go all in and just experience it. And more often than not, you're going to realize that you made the right decision. I certainly did.
Yeah. Did you know when you decided you wanted to go that route that you were going to go special forces, or were you just like, I'm just going to enlist? Like, what was your, were you like, I'm going to do 4 years? What were you thinking?
Yeah. I thought that I knew for a fact I wanted to serve and experience a GWAT and really go to, what every young man in that time period really felt a calling to do was serve in combat. But I knew that I at least wanted to go to selection. And I remember meeting my first platoon sergeant, and I remember telling him, like, he asked me the same question. I'm like, I want to be here. I want to serve. But ultimately, at some point, I do want to see if I have what it takes to go through selection. Because I knew like that was something that would really separate me if I had what it takes. But I still didn't have any real true self-worth. I still needed to find validation in others. I still needed to feel like I was part of, a team and really get brought in. And that's what the 82nd gave me. We have a hyper focus on Navy SEALs, Special Forces, Air Force Special Operations, these elite units. We put we hold them to high reverence. And of course, they're great individuals. I love my community, but I wouldn't have made it one day in selection if I didn't grow up in the 82nd. Like I had to grow up there. I had to come and start from the very bottom. Like these individuals, every single individual in that platoon taught me something and gave me what I needed to move forward. That confidence wasn't ready-made. I was, again, a young man that had low self-worth, but being there for those formative years, when I got to that platoon, when I got to BECO 2504, that gave me the undergraduate degree and the confidence I needed to go to selection to become a Green Beret. And I owe it so much to that company, those men. Like that's who really raised me to understand like what it means to be a combat leader. And I hold them in such high regard.
What did you learn?
The importance of being a real non-commissioned officer. Like, and again, no shade to National Guard. When you don't live at 24/7, you don't understand the weight of that. When you don't understand how to lead individual soldiers on a daily basis, the combat reps, like combat isn't what you see in Hollywood stories. Combat is being there 24/7, understanding like you're going to take on the responsibility of leading troops in combat. However that looks like to you, you may not have fired a single round downrange, but ultimately, did you execute your orders and do what your squad leader, your team leader, your platoon sergeant demanded of you? If you did, hold your head up high, you did it. I learned how to work with a team. I learned what it was like to be dependent on and to be somebody that could be accountable 24/7, not just on the weekends, once a month, 24/7, day in, day out. And I understood the importance of your word, like what it means to be somebody that like, hey, Cab's a good dude. I can count on Cab. And like, that's something that you don't get when you're just a kid on the street. Working a 9-to-5 job doesn't give you that responsibility. I understand that you can learn responsibility and work in many different fields, but becoming an infantryman, a paratrooper in the 2504 gave me the understanding and gave me the lineage that I didn't have before that. I don't have direct American roots. I do now because I served in that unit, and I don't take that lightly. It is a monumental task to serve there with honor, with integrity, with those people, and that is something that I hold to a high standard. It's an amazing thing that I got to do. Like, being a Green Beret is amazing. Being a paratrooper is equally as amazing. Being there and serving with those individuals, because there's something to be said about a young 18-year-old kid coming into your unit and then being assigned to a young 20-something individual being like, hey, that's your team leader. Team leader, take care of your guy. Squad leader, another mid-20 guy, take care of your guys. And you make it happen. You go to war, you go to combat with these young individuals, and you don't have the pedigree, the entire Q course to get you ready for combat, J sets. No, you have some training, but by and large, you have to figure things out and make things happen with a fraction of the budget and a fraction of the training. And we did just that. So I'm incredibly grateful for that time period and that mentorship being developed by individuals who had Ranger School, who had real combat deployments to Afghanistan, who could tell you like, hey, look, like Iraq, this deployment's a piece of cake, but the next one could be far worse. And the next one was a little more challenging. But you had the confidence because you went through a previous deployment with individuals that cared and wanted you to be better, and they held you to a standard, and they were willing to smoke I don't know if I can swear on this. They were willing to, they were willing to smoke the absolute dog shit if you fucked up. And that's how we hold men accountable, especially young men that don't know what they're doing. And I saw that for the first time in my life in the 82nd, in that platoon, and the family aspect of it. When you don't have a frame of reference for what a good family is like, sometimes the military gives that to you. And that's what I found for myself. Instead of wanting to keep you and hold you back from reaching your full potential, I was met with leaders that wanted you to succeed, even if it meant going off somewhere else and doing something greater than what they had done. At no point in my career did I have a platoon sergeant that didn't want to see me career. I had a first sergeant that was absolute garbage. That was just one bad leader. I had squad leaders and platoon sergeants that wanted to see me succeed. And every opportunity I was afforded the opportunity to go do just that. So when I decided that it was time to become a Green Beret or attempt to become a Green Beret, I wasn't met with hostility or, negativity from my own platoon. I was met with encouragement, with people that were willing to say, you can do this, even if I didn't believe in myself. Because when you don't have that background of really succeeding in much in life, I didn't have a huge success rate in life. I was just a kid who grew up in a really shitty environment. So I had no frame of reference of succeeding wildly. I just knew that I could suck and grunt through some things. I knew I could be miserable and not quit. I knew I could endure physical pain and not quit, but I didn't have a long list of, valedictorian, of being a high school athlete. I fucking sucked at an athlete. I had coaches that ridiculed, that mocked me, that didn't see any fucking potential in me. But my leadership in the 82nd did. And when you have that, when you have other individuals that see that you can do it, like, even if you don't, you at least can start believing.
You said so many great things and when a guest says so many great things, it makes my job so much harder because I have to choose the best question that I want to move forward with. And I feel like I'm, really making a Sophie's choice here. So, so I'm going to go and attempt this one and ask you what lessons did you feel like you learned that set you up for success when you went into selection? Meaning, that if you weren't there, if you didn't go through what you went through prior to going to selection, you wouldn't that would have ate you alive, essentially, is what I'm trying to say.
The one thing I didn't understand was my physical limitations, really. When you get to the 82nd, you're going to run till your fucking legs fall off. Like, you're going to rock. You're going to do training that you've never experienced in your life. Like, I knew that when my mind started telling me, like, this sucks, this is painful, I knew I still had like hours and hours more to go. I knew how to quiet my mind. I learned that. I infinitely do that. And I saw other units, other individuals who came from different units, who weren't infantry, who didn't have the background. And I saw them, stop and quit and give up. And like, I knew, like, okay, like, I have been through worse. I've been through, like, even my civilian background as somebody who survived some insane trauma. But I also knew that the training, the preparation I'd been through just from being a guy on an infantry, a paratrooper platoon, I knew, like, okay, like, I've been on hard runs with Sergeant First Class Mackenzie. I've been through hard fucking runs. Like, I can do this. Like, this is not that hard. Even when I thought, like, wow, this is really painful, my IT band's really fucking hurting, I'm like, eventually, I've been this before. Eventually, the pain just kind of dissipates. I've been through the same pain. So the tolerance and the mental games, like that was huge. Even more importantly, though, and not to give away G2 about the course, there's a portion of selection called Team Week. And at some point, everybody has to be in charge. You don't know when you're going to be in charge, whether it's going to be during, which event. But I'd already been a leader. I'd already had reps in combat. I already knew how to get everybody to coalesce. I didn't have to fake it. I knew what it took. I know what it takes to get guys that are fucking stressed out of their mind, tired, hungry, don't want to fucking do something. I know how to motivate them. And more often than not, it's just by getting everybody to laugh a little bit. So there's where that humor comes in. Yeah, the cadre are looking, but I didn't give myself enough I didn't worry about them judging me about how I got the guys motivated. If I was able to get them to laugh, to get them to get on the apparatus and move it. The end game is to get everybody across the line before the end of the time. So if I have to fucking get him there by being old fucking Sergeant Deny Caballero, or get him to laugh at a few jokes before we get moving, like, that's what I'm going to fucking do. And it worked for me. Like, I already had the built-in lived experience of being a leader. And if I didn't have it in me, I just focused on what one of my fucking leaders would have done, and I emulated that. Because more often than not, I would figure out what Paul Strobel would do. All right, is this what Paul would do? What would Joy do? What would McDevitt do? All right, McDevitt wouldn't fucking piss around with this. Like, McDevitt would tell them to get their ass in gear and keep moving. Like, let's do what your leadership did. Guys like McClyman, guys like Sauer, mimic what our brothers had already done to get people to buy in and move this fucking thing so it can be done and out of this nightmare into the next fucking evolution. And it worked. Just being able to rely on everything I'd already gone through, which, again, like, it's not always about your lived experience. If you can focus on what other great leaders emulated and provided you, that's good enough too. That's 100% good enough. Remember that you don't always have to be Superman. You don't always have to be Captain America. Somewhere along your time in service, you saw great leadership. Be able to use what they used. Like, that's what makes you a good leader. You paid attention.
I love that. I was told, I worked in the film business for quite a while, and I worked for two pretty great, talented individuals. One of them happens to be Ralph Macchio, and the other one happened to be Penny Marshall. And it was funny though, because I think it was Ralph I was talking to, and it's like, you learn what by observing. He was big on observing. He was like, watch everything, like, just sit down. Like, I think he was mentioning when he was on The Outsiders, he would just like sit down and like watch, even when he wasn't part of the scene. And it was like, you'll learn a lot by observing people, and you'll learn what to do and what not to do, and what works and what doesn't work. But then also, what works for someone else might not work for you. I remember that in comedy. I remember Nick Swartzen told me about a show he bombed, and he was just like, I stood up on the stage and was like, I'm just going to stand here, and, I'm getting paid either way. But like, he's Nick Swartzen, right?
Yeah.
And then I remember I was bombing one day, and I was like, I'll just take a page from his book. I'll just stand here, right? And it, like, I'm Gina Cazaza. Nobody knows who that is. Like, that didn't work out at all, right? It was just like, I wasn't getting paid for that show either. So you
Fuck.
learn like what, what not to do, what to do. And, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I really like a lot about, and I'm learning for myself these days. Like, I put on an event yesterday and I'm the founder of the nonprofit, and I have a hard time delegating. I mean, like my mom is part of the board, and she we finished and we did like a recap, and she just looked at me and she's like, "You're a terrible delegator, like epic fail." And I'm just like, "Oh my gosh!" But like, it's a way you need to be able to assess and see. How do you assess and see yourself to make changes to be a better leader within your team, and also when you're by yourself?
I have a Rolodex of my own failed attempts, and I keep that in line. The thing that sets Green Berets apart is you're a 12-man detachment that can operate at a battalion level. So each one of your guys can do amazing shit. And when I became a warrant officer, I understood that. But somewhere along the line, you tend to think that because somebody's new, that it's justified that you do their work for them. And you can take ownership, and you can take more, and you can take more because it's more important for them to go to the range. It's more important for them to go do this. It's more important for them to do that. At what point are you helping them learn their fucking job? At what point are you enabling them to be a well-rounded individual? Sure, it's a shortcut for you to do everything because you know everything. When are you going to teach them? Or when are you going to allow them to surprise you that they already know it? It's an easy button. If you tell me you're going to do my work for me, like, okay, fuck it. I'll go to the range. I'll go shoot. I'll go fucking have a blast. But
let me ask you,
yeah.
I just want to jump in because you did say, at what point though, because I've given one nonprofit, we're volunteers.
Yeah.
That's a whole different beast of people to motivate,
Yeah.
right? And what about when they just fail you? Like in terms of it's like, hey, here's the task. This is what you're going to do. And then you just fail. And I'm like, okay. And I put it on me where I'm like, you know what? I didn't train you properly. Here, let me give you some training. Let's go in this direction. Let's see how it goes. I put it all on me. And now, we check in, still another fail. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And at what point do you go, well, they just, in terms of, because you mentioned training them and allowing them to do their, trusting them. Then what about when you trust them to do it and then they don't come through?
And then if you're in the military and you're in special operations, you fire the motherfucker and you put them in the fucking B team. But you have to mentor them. You have to let the team sergeant mentor them. You have to let them fail and fail fast, fail forward. More often than not, high achievers will fucking self-correct. They'll get there, but you have to give them the opportunity. You have to let them fail. I learned that quick. I was like, I'm a fucking idiot. I am not the greatest thing. I am not the greatest gift to this fucking detachment. Their mission. It's their mission too. You think you're helping them. You think you're doing something great for them, but you're not. You're hindering them. You're hindering their growth. And I reflected on my own journey when I had to learn all this shit on my own because I had an ops sergeant that was smart. And he put the ownership on us and he said, you better figure it the fuck out. And you think that guy's being an asshole. You think he's being a fucking demanding asshole. Like, how am I going to figure it out? You're a Green Beret. You figured it out, right? Yeah. Then I trusted on you. I trusted you would do the right thing and you figured it out. Yeah. Could he have executed it a little bit better? Maybe. But reflecting back, I realized that guy gave me the ability to figure it out and to fail fast. And I wasn't doing that. And when you figure that out as a leader, that you figure out you're there to ensure it gets done, but show them how to do their job. If they don't know how to reach out to the country team in country X, give them the information. Don't just do it for them. Show them the standard, watch them fill it out, correct it if you need to, give them back for them to make the correction, and then submit it. Everybody's important in the team room. Everybody's important on that mission for your nonprofit. Give them the ability to fail. Help them correct it. Help them get back on track. Help them develop themselves. But when they continue to fail, when they continue to show that they're not getting it, when they continue to show that it's not a priority for them, then you have to be able to stand up and say, hey, guess what? Here's a long list of attempts. Here's a long list of times we worked together. We did an example. We did another walkthrough and you continue to do it wrong. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for your opportunity to work with me, but sorry, time for you to go somewhere else. And I know it's hard. I know it's hard to say that. It's hard to fire somebody, But if you mentored, if you coached, if you gave them the ability to do it on their own after walking, doing the crawl, walk, and run method, and they're a habitual line stepper, sorry, dog, this thing is really important for me. This mission set, this nonprofit is really important for me. And I don't think that we're seeing eye to eye. So for that reason, I'm out.
Yeah.
Get to stepping. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because think about it, if you were in their shoes, if somebody was helping you and coaching you and saying, I believe in you, this time you're going to get it. And you do get it. And they're like, hell yeah, we did it together, but you did all the work this time. Hell yeah. You showed like, oh man, that person cares. They believe in me. They want me to succeed. But when somebody continues to prove you that they don't care, that they're not going to put the effort, then why do you want them on the team?
Yeah, that's very true. I love that. That was fantastic advice. Take that one. And now I'm gonna actually go back to the other question that I had for you that's been sitting in my pocket on the show. And I want to talk about earlier in the show, you mentioned at some point the military gave you a family.
Yeah.
You said gave me that family that they didn't have. So here's my question into it. How was it when you left the military? And did you have a family? Like, were you married and then went in, like, already had a family? Like, how was it from that transition to then civilian life? Because night and day, right?
Yeah, it is the single hardest thing that every service member will do. And I understand that fully now. It's a little more difficult, I believe, when you're in a combat MOS or in special forces, special operations. But for special forces as a Green Beret, you have 12 men on that ODA. You have 12 brothers. You have a family. You have, at least I hope your team is as tight and everybody's relying on each other. And when you step away.
By the way, how long were you guys together?
It's the team itself. So my warrant days on 7135, I went through a life cycle of two rotations of people. The guys that was on that team, and it's fast. This is like a year and a half with life cycle rotated really fast. Now I have other teammates from previous teams all throughout the 7th group, all throughout regiment. So that's additional family too. But the 12 men on that team, as soon as we got back from Afghanistan, Fox is gone, Junior Echo's gone, Junior Charlie's gone, everybody's gone. And you know that going into being a warrant, you're going to be on the team the longest. But it's like overnight, people move, careers change, your captain goes. Then it's just you and the team sergeant. It's like, fuck, like this is fast. But still, you bring in the next line and it's still a family. It's still a family unit. You're still helping the next guys get into their sit. But the rhythm never slows down. People will always cycle out. But you'll have friends, that group, friends down at battalion. You still have family that you came up with. And you're still able to see them on a daily basis. You sneak away a little bit to go see your buddy down in S3. Like, fuck, we're the old people now. Like, holy shit, how did this happen? Those type of interactions. The team room is going to grow and evolve. That life cycle is so fucking fast. And then maybe you see one of your friends come back from SWIC, which is our schoolhouse. So you have one more friend that comes back. Oh my God, the old guys, we're getting back together. When you leave, you're out of the text thread. You're out of the ability to see your friends on a daily basis. And for a large part of guys, you're going home to another team that you didn't prioritize. And in my story, I already had one failed marriage. As soon as I got to group, we didn't make it a full year. And it was like, fuck, all right. 2015, I met my current wife, and she was also, and still is, active duty. So it was a little bit easier for me to get away with like, oh, like, I won't always prioritize you got your career. The reality is, when I started going through my downward spiral, the team doesn't have time to come see you in San Antonio at a mental health treatment center. The team doesn't have time to come to your bedside to check in on you during a surgery. That doesn't happen. The team isn't coming to your house, checking in, seeing how you're doing, and, hey, how's your mental health treatment going on Emerald Coast? That's not happening. But who's there? Your wife. Mm-hmm. And who have you been alienating? Your wife. Who doesn't always get the truth? Your wife. And that's when I realized, shit, like, I'm going to love these guys for the rest of my life. I'm going to be there. I'm going to figure out a way to always be chief to them. But I need to be a husband. And I don't have kids. I don't know what that's like. Holy shit. In a matter of just a few months, I realized the priorities in my life were pretty fucked up. No fault. It was just something that I prioritized because when you didn't have family growing up, at least a healthy family, You align with the warriors. You align with the people that your friends, those people that are going to be there. They'll be in a firefight with you. Of course, that's family. And yes, but that's only one small aspect of what it means to be a man. The other aspects of being a man are being a husband, being a father, being a provider. Like I have to cultivate that. And I only understood that while I was going through my healing journey. When I finally understood that, I realized like the one thing that's going to always pour back into me is the family at home. So I prioritized my wife. I prioritized understanding what it means to be a husband, and then started working on building a family. And that's when I really felt like I really, truly finally understand, like, once you bring a little one to this world, then it's like, boom, holy shit. This is what really pours into you. This is what really keeps you healthy, because you walk out of that team room, leave all that shit there. Go home excited to get home, excited to get that little one. And I have that now. And now I realize how some of our guys were better able to manage stress and anxiety and depression and operator syndrome because they had a place to recharge. I never had that. I never built up the family. I never built up that pillar. Now I use my story as a cautionary tale of like, hey, being a Green Beret is amazing, but that's not God's calling for you. God's not telling you, oh, go be a Green Beret. Please go be. No, he wants you to be a father. He wants you to be a husband. He wants you to be fulfilling those roles. Those are the most important roles we can have. People don't need any more Green Berets. They're not. Once you get out, they're like, oh, I need another Green Beret. Oh, fuck, I need another Green Beret. But we need husbands. We need good men. We need strong male role models. We need that. We need good people in society. And being a good father, being a good husband will ensure that you're that for other people.
Now, how was it for you as someone that didn't have a good father figure growing up to then become a father and step into that role?
Well, I like many had to do a lot of therapy, and I thought I had it figured out, but I was assisted in that journey through 5-MeO DMT. That was the final thing I needed. And I went into that medicine with one intention. I thought that I needed to face the abuse. And that's not what I needed. The journey I went on for 5 hours it all boils down to understanding that I was able to tap into memories of my biological father. Never really knew the man. All I had were pictures, but because he had left, all the pictures were missing his face and head. Like my biological mother cut out his picture. So I never saw myself with my biological father. I never saw myself being loved by a father figure. Just a lot of trauma, a lot of abuse. That medicine unlocked the memories for me. And I was able to see myself being held by my biological father, being able to remember for true those moments of actually having somebody hold me as a kid, really like loving, and being able to say like, wow, that person, that man really did. He was happy that I was alive. Whether he stayed, whether he was able to be there for the rest of my life, in those few moments, I was able to finally remember he was excited. And it finally gave me the understanding of like, oh shit, I know what it's like to be a father that loves his kid. I've seen it. Every therapist I ever went to, they always asked me the background. Like, when's the first anchoring memory that you had of being loved? And I was like, I don't have that. I don't have a childhood definitive moment of being loved by anybody. My biological mother would pass me off from relative to relative to relative to relative to watch us, to take care of us because she wanted to go out. And that's something that I didn't have. I didn't have that parental moment of anchoring, like, oh, that's what it means to be loved by a parent. Mm-hmm. That medicine unlocked and allowed me to see it. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, yes, that's what a dad should feel like when he's holding on to their kid. And as soon as I felt that, as soon as I was able to come out of that experience, I realized like, okay, like I know what that's like. Now I know what it's like. And now I know what it's like because I have a little one. So like it's definitive proof. Like I don't have to be scared of not having the experience or having the fear that I'll be some weird predator, somebody that abuses kids, because fuck, what's a Green Beret if not a lifelong protector? I've done that. Mm-hmm. I have that as a background. And it's like now and I've talked to other Green Berets who had the same background, very similar stories, and they had a similar experience with plant medicine. It's like, yeah, I don't fear being a father. I don't fear being a husband. I am angry at a lot of things. I'm angry at deadlines. I'm angry for so many different things. I'm never angry for that little one. I'm never angry at the fact that she may cry or she may throw a temper tantrum. Like it's a baby and they can't talk. And that's a fear I had for a long time. But now that I'm here, now that I'm in this spot and I get to hold that little girl, it's like never in a million years.
I don't have a child, but I have a nephew, and it changed like my life in terms of like the love you have for another human being is just like
Yeah.
exponential. And I love my brothers, and my parents were super close, but I mean this little one just next level.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just
The only thing that I sense now more than ever is I don't trust with other people. So if I don't get a good read on you,
Mhm.
I am very hesitant. I don't want you around my kid. Don't touch my kid. Like there's a very like we live in the South and go to church and people want to reach and touch, and I'm like, don't, because I experienced that from a negative standpoint of having been, having a predator. So
Right.
now it's like if I look at somebody and I'm, I have to go to confession a lot because I do have a lot of malice and like anger when I see certain people and I'm dropping her off at daycare. I'm like, oh, that motherfucker, if they even touch her. Like it's like the weirdest scenarios of like, oh my God, these fucking people. Yeah. Yeah. It's very, very protective, hyper protective, where it's like, I don't know. Why is there a grown man cooking lunch at a daycare? It doesn't seem right to me. Just not judging in reality, but yeah, those thoughts come around like, wait a second. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I do the like I know he's only 3, but I know he needs to experience failure, and I know that like in social situations
Yeah.
happen,
Yeah.
and he needs to experience things, but this I want to protect him from all that, and yet I know that that's the worst thing that I can do, right? It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you have to give them, like my parents, I remember I did a stand-up show, and my dad is the first show my dad ever been to, and 30 of my family were there, and that was the show I was talking about where I just bombed, right? And it was because there was these 4 drunk girls, and they just
Oh,
were heckling. You can't, no matter what, drunk people, you just
yeah.
there was just it, like there's just no, it
You
didn't
can't
work,
fight
right?
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't. So I remember my family, like the extended family around me, were like, looked at my parents, and people are like, my family's like not my parents, like my extended family, they're like sweating, they're like nervous for me, and my parents just look like chill. And I remember my uncle like said to my dad, why aren't you saying anything, why aren't you standing up and protecting your child? And my dad goes, because the best thing I could do is allow her to save herself, because
Yeah.
I won't always be here, right? And she's gonna have other shows. And yet I realized like that probably had to be like the hardest thing my family had to do, was watch their child bomb, and
Yeah.
yet allow them, and that's the hard part. And for you as a protector, do you feel that, I mean, you already feel like a lot of stuff like within the daycare, like what do you do for yourself that you may have for other parents that are listening to the show, in terms of knowing when to step in, and knowing when to, and what you do for yourself to just be able to not react on their
Yeah.
behalf?
Well, it's easier for me right now. She's only 6 months, but
Oh,
I'm figuring out already. Like I used to give a lot of power over to what I endured and being grateful because it built so much resilience and grit and perseverance in me.
mhm,
And I know all that trauma gave me an iron will, but I'm not giving it that power. It's not because I went through that. It's who I am. But how
mhm.
do I duplicate that in my child so that she's resilient, so that she can move out on her own, so she can travel the world, so she can sail and never feel like she's going to be, a damsel in distress. I want my daughter to be strong, courageous, have in iron will, and be able to go do everything and anything she wants to do. And what I've been able to understand by studying and talking to other individuals is sports, combat sports, whether it's jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, being able to give them the tools of understanding that no matter how difficult and painful the situation they're in, they can still figure it out. It's being put into places where they have to develop discipline, develop grit. And then with jiu-jitsu and these sports, like they're able to get put in places where they're uncomfortable, where they're going to have to think through the problems and persevere and learn sportsmanship and understand the day, especially for a girl maturing and developing into a woman, understand that she can still be strong and deadly. That's what I want my daughter to grow up understanding. Like, she can have the full experience of being a woman. She doesn't have to pick one or the other. She can be whatever she wants to do. But I want her to walk this world knowing that she doesn't have to be scared of a fucking thing. Because at the end of the day, she can handle herself. Like, that's what I really want her to figure out. And it's going to take a lot of putting her in the right places and letting her figure out and explore. And if she wants to do ballet, she'll do ballet. But figure out what she wants to do, but also be able to give her those avenues where hey, we're going to do the awesome things that are girly and wonderful and beautiful, but we're going to develop these other skill sets, and being able to give her every tool in her arsenal so that she can be whoever the fuck she wants to be and not be messed with.
I love that. That's really great. I wanted to ask, when it comes to your I guess like the shows that you produce and things like that, with military comedy and trauma recovery and all that stuff. How do you choose what stories to tell? And what exactly, when you choose those stories, do you want your, I guess, viewers or listeners to walk away with?
Authentic, impactful, purpose-driven stories. I don't think you can understand what combat really is like, what engaging in the day-to-day life of a soldier on deployment is truly like, unless you lived it. I also don't want people to fall in love and romanticize combat stories. I don't think you'll ever understand what it's like to lose a friend. I don't think you'll ever understand what it's like to go for a year-long deployment and ride and drive through Iraq under the threat of an IED 24/7. Like, it doesn't come across on a podcast as something you can really truly digest unless you ever did it. You're not going to know what it was like for BECO 2504. You're not going to know what it was like for A17 or any of the units that I served with for any of their deployments or any of my deployments. You really won't. You'll tune in and you'll digest it like it's a movie, but it's not. And it doesn't do it any honor to publicize it and to promote it like it is today. I think that it causes more harm than good. I think some individuals haven't dealt with their trauma, and when they watch a YouTube or a video reel of having somebody break down the story of their worst day in combat and how they lost somebody, I think it puts you in the same mind frame of when you were in your worst place in the worst time of your military career, and it perpetuates a cycle of trauma. I want to be able to tap into your strength, into your story, but talk about how you overcame it, how you overcame that horrible injury, how you were able to transition from the military and get that amazing job, how you found your way out of addiction. Because the truth is, behind every last one of us is a long line of veterans that are still dealing with their worst fucking day. And we have to be able to give them a way out. And we're never going to do that if we still continue promoting and highlighting the worst days and the worst moments of a select few veterans. We've amplified the same voices over and over and over again. Some of them are great individuals, but it's time for new stories. It's time for stories of healing, of overcoming, and finding new purpose. I don't think that the military is the greatest chapter in our lives. I don't. I think the military is a stepping stone. I think our service in these historic units is a stepping stone. Being a Green Beret gives me a seat at the table in some places, and it certainly opens the door in some places. But I don't want you to focus on the glamour of a long tab or that Green Beret. I want you to give me equal footing at the table or through that door because you think that the next chapter is going to be more impactful, that you're willing to bet on the stories that I bring are going to be even better. Because that's the truth. And I think we're seeing that. We're finally understanding that the truth is the only people that really see the most traumatic and horrible and gut-wrenching combat stories, unfortunately, don't make it out alive. And if they do make it out alive and they have those valor awards, they're some of the most humble individuals. And they don't want to talk about those stories. They want to talk about something else that will help uplift and help promote somebody else's endeavors. And I think it's time. I think we start focusing on how to heal, how to recover, and how to get that next best chapter in our books I think every veteran has a story to tell, and that's something that I'm excited to bring out, whether it's through Security Halt or any other new show that I bring on. I think that our veterans are unique storytellers, and we can write some amazing books. We can tell some amazing stories on podcast, and we can create some great YouTube videos. It's just about what we want to focus on, whether it's murder mystery or a conspiracy show. If it's aligned with my mission statement, I'd love to produce it.
I love that. I think that's incredible. And I do love the triumph, because too, like you feel like you're not alone. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, and even like I like as a civilian, which I cannot relate in any shape or any form to what you experienced or what you went through, or even that team, environment that you guys do so well creating. But I learned so much from hearing you guys, from learning from the lessons that you teach, and also like just like there's so many people on the show that I've talked to, and they've said low points in their life, and
Yeah.
and the success where they are today, and especially when you turn into the entrepreneur route, and it's funny too because I talked to some veterans, and they're like, some days I just wish I was back in combat because it's easier. They're like,
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah.
like, it's easier. I'm like, it's easier. And I'm just like, because I'm in the entrepreneur route, which to me,
Yeah.
it's just like, oh my God. But it's just cool to be able to kind of bring that camaraderie and learn and feel
Yeah.
like you're not alone. It's like,
Yeah.
it's a healing thing. And I want to know for you, like, what does it actually mean to heal, and
Oh,
how
great question.
can that happen when you're still in the fight? And you talked about
Yeah.
when you were in your fight, what did it mean to heal, and how did you overcome that?
The first thing is you have to get rid of the mask. You have to get rid of the fucking mask. I was wearing it. I recently was talking to an old friend, and I was actively suicidal, and I was going to an Army peer-to-peer support course because I'm gonna volunteer for this to help be a better support network for the guys on the team. Yet I'm actively trying to figure out how I'm going to kill myself. And everyone that sees me is like, oh, it's fucking Chief. He's Chief Caballero. He's a great guy. He's having fun. Hey, how's it going, guys? And meanwhile, I'm like, I'm ready to fucking end it. I'm going to drive home and I'm going to do it. Or better yet, I'm going to wait till my wife deploys. That way she doesn't see it and then she doesn't have to deal with it. Hopefully neighbors hear it and they'll clean it up, or cops will get involved and then she won't have to see it. That's the type of shit that was going through my head and nobody knew about it. And I'm not alone. I know I wasn't alone because since then, so many of my friends have gotten help. But the very first thing we have to do is take off the mask. And that means we have to be vulnerable. We have to be fucking vulnerable. Vulnerability is a strength. And those aren't my words. I'm borrowing them from Brene Brown, a wonderful author and healer that I didn't even find till I was in a mental health treatment center. Because those individuals, they don't come speak at our events. They don't come speak to our formation. Brene Brown isn't readily available to talk to Green Berets, although I think she should. I think that her message and everything that she's done in her career absolutely resonates with special operations. And I just wish more people would pay attention and make those connections happen. If I can take away so much healing and so much understanding from her books, I know every Green Beret can. We just have to get past and get over ourselves and realize that some of the knowledge that we're seeking come from women, come from female healers. Because this, by and large, that's who's in the field, man. And being able to sit in front of somebody and talk. That was the other thing. Get in front of somebody and talk. Get it out. And be willing to take a knee. You can't do the healing. You can't do the work unless you're willing to step down for a little bit. You don't have to step down forever. You don't have to come off a team forever. But for you to actually heal and start developing the habits that will help you overcome these, what feels monumental but really aren't, these challenges, you do have to be in a place where there isn't so much responsibility and the weight of the world isn't on your shoulders. You have to go somewhere where you can at least be able to go to your appointments. And that's something you can't do when you're on your team. And when you're able to realize that you're not greater than that team, when the team doesn't need you to succeed and you can walk away momentarily, you'll begin to heal. You'll begin to be able to do the hard work that you need to do. And it's a lifelong thing. You have to do the work for the rest of your life. But here's the secret. So does fucking everybody else. It's a journey. It's absolutely a fucking journey. It's not, if anybody tells you that you're going to get over this shit in a week or two and you're going to be fucking perfect for the rest of the day, I will tell you, they're full of shit. I have anxiety. I've had panic attacks from running this fucking endeavor, but I have tools. I know that I absolutely cannot continue going if I'm going through burnout. I have to take a knee. I have to readjust. I have to move forward. If I want to reach my goal, if I want to do the best work I can, I have to throttle back. I have to go back to doing the things that work. And then every time I get back to feeling better, I realize, oh shit, this is what it's like to be better. Awesome. Keep going. You're going to veer off to the left and right. It's normal. But you can do things like not drink anymore. It certainly helped me in my life. I wasn't addicted, but every time I needed to comfort, I ran to the bottle. Every time I wanted to go sleep because I couldn't sleep, I ran to the bottle. Healing means you understand what things are good, what serves you, and what doesn't. So, nightlife, going out to bars, that wasn't serving me. Got rid of it. Alcohol wasn't serving me. Got rid of it. Things that weren't helping me, I had to get rid of. Understanding and being an adult, being a person that holds yourself accountable. That's what healing means. And you continue doing that on a daily basis. You're going to mess up. You're going to fuck up. It doesn't mean that you go to the therapy every single day for the rest of your life. You go there. You have a plan of action. You go through that plan of action with your therapist. And then you move forward. And then you come back if you need it.
This podcast episode is brought to you by Thrivers Coffee. Podcast guest Nick McKinley's company, Deliver Fund, brings you guys Thrivers Coffee. It is ethically sourced, it's organic, and it supports traffic survivors. That is right. Thrivers Coffee is all about empowering us to making a difference in the fight to end human trafficking. That's why 100% of the proceeds go directly towards their goal of bringing freedom to victims of human trafficking. So if you guys love coffee that is organic, ethically sourced, and tastes absolutely delicious, and want to help to end the fight of human trafficking, check out Nick McKinley's company, Thrivers Coffee. So many great things right there that you mentioned. And one of the things that I really hope our listeners really take away from it is that it's a journey, and it's something that you are constantly just, you get better. You got the tools, right? It's, hey, I acknowledge it. I understand it. Or I remember Coach Mack used to say, and that's the Navy SEAL that trained me in the Team Eagle One program I was in, and he used to say, like, you have like 0.3 seconds before you go into reaction mode. You better learn yourself real well to be able to stop yourself or understand what to do before you go into that reaction mode. And, and he used to say, you don't train this hard and not discover who you are. And it really helped me to understand myself, to understand the feelings that I was going through, like when I was about to react, to be able to stop myself and then give me the tools I needed that worked for me, whether it was like going at, like, cleaning was a great thing for me. Like, just 5 minutes of cleaning, like, really reframed me, right? But I didn't know that. I didn't recognize that. I didn't understand that. And then there are so many times within myself, though, where I get a little down on myself because it's like, I feel like I need to be better. I need to, and I don't give myself that grace. And I'm realizing, like, it's a journey. We're human. We're part of a human. We're experiencing a human experience. You have to give yourself that grace that and recognize that. And I loved so much that you said that I could talk to you all day, but I know it's an hour show and I really value your time. So I'm going to end it with our final question that I have for you. And that is, what do you have for us on a daily basis that we can do to level up our mental fitness to be able to handle those inevitable challenges that are going to come our way?
Gratitude list. That's the easiest one. I can't tell you how much you're going to be faced. Somebody's doing better than you. Somebody got a promotion. Your last YouTube video didn't get shit. You got passed up. There's so many things in life that you're going to focus on and tell yourself you have nothing good in your life. Nothing good is happening. There's nothing worth mentioning. in your life? How could that person be doing better? I'm doing this. I'm working so hard. Every morning, start with gratitude list. I'll do you one better. If you're goal oriented and you're trying desperately to get out and be that best version of yourself, and you want to crush your business, your entrepreneurial goals, divide that sheet of paper in half. Start with 5 things that you're grateful for. And the other half of that piece of paper, 5 things that you are going to do. I'm going to form that LLC. I'm going to sell this book. I'm going to get published. I am going to make it as a comedian. I'm going to do this. Put it on paper and you write it out every single day. There's a power to that. There's a power to doing it. I didn't go into any mission thinking I wasn't going to succeed. I didn't go to any school thinking I wasn't going to succeed. I didn't go in there boasting like I'm going to be the best fucking sniper. I wasn't the best fucking sniper. I wasn't. There was so many people in sniper school that were way better than me, but I fucking passed. I graduated the top premier sniper course, and I had an amazing final shot that till this day is one of the most amazing memories with individuals that cheered me on because fuck, I worked hard. I suck at fucking math and I did it. I got that. And I got to earn that. And it all started with me focusing on walking in every day to that course and saying, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get it. I'm going to pass. I'm going to get it. And every school after that. And I'm grateful that I had enough of awareness to where I said that. You know, I went through a lot of hard schools and I always graduated because I always started with saying, I'm going to pass. I'm going to get this. No matter how tough it was, I'm going to pass. I'm going to get this. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be challenging. I'm going to study really fucking hard, but I'm going to get this. And when I learned and understood gratitude, that was validating that I have worth, that I have things that are going right in my life. And if you do that, it's going to help you curb that negative thought, that negative voice, that negative critique that's in your head. You're a piece of shit. You fucking suck. Nope. I have a beautiful wife. I have a rock star wife. Gorgeous, way out of my fucking league. I got a beautiful baby that is fucking does not look like me. Thank God. I got a roof over my head. I get to do podcasting for a living. I get paid to produce shows. Holy shit. I get paid to do this. I get paid to help other Green Berets. No matter how shitty, how late I stay up having to do the next piece of content, the next this. I wrote this down. I'm grateful for this. Why am I angry about it? That shifts your perspective. And if you could do that at home today, if you're listening and if you can do that, you're going to wake up and you're going to start saying, fuck yeah, I'm winning. I'm in this fight.
I love that because I really, really feel like a lot of the times we're in that comparing mode because it's so easy to do it.
Super
it's
easy.
So easy, especially in the digital age, right? It's like, wow.
Whatever you have to do, block, friggin' restrict, whatever account you think is your direct enemy and you're so angry, don't see it. Don't validate it. And every time it comes in your head, just say, no, I'm not going to give it that power.
Yeah. I love that. That's great advice. Thank you so much. And thank you for your time and being on the show. You were
Absolutely.
an amazing guest. Thank you. Thank you. And everyone that's listening, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Join our Substack. It's a really fun time over there. And like I said, the book is out. Chapters of the book. You can go on and read it. I will see you guys all next Wednesday. Thank you so much.